Hi there, my name's Ryan. We're going to be doing a quick demo of some R code, some very raw R code I wrote to plug into Discovery News. Discovery is a service from IBM Watson available on cloud. You can load up your own corpus of data to search it, but you can also have intelligence infused news, and that's what we're really going after today. So we're going to go to the IBM Cloud catalog and we're going to type in Discovery, and here we are. And I'm going to invoke and launch um, a test service called Discovery Diamond, and give it that name, and I'm going to create a light free version, which lets me do up to 1,000 documents per month. And it'll give me that news endpoint that I'm after. So now that the service is created, we're going to go to the dashboard, and I'm going to try to find it here, and we're going to make sure that we got some credentials. Here we are, Discovery Diamond, which we've just created. And over on the left-hand side here, we are going to go and grab some credentials. And I don't mind if you see these ones because I'm going to be deleting the service after this demo. So let's go click on a new credential here, and we'll call it Disco Diamond. Sounds pretty fun. And we're going to add those credentials, and we're going to copy paste those back into the code. Here they are. So we've got our URL as the endpoint with the discovery. That's our API endpoint. It's already in the code. And then the username and the password. So let's copy those and jump over into the R code here. And this URL is already in here, so we can get rid of that. And the username and the password are the ones we want. So I'm going to drop those in here. And we'll be referring to this as username disco and password disco, which we've dropped in there, copied and pasted in. And obviously, if you're doing this properly, you'd have a keys.r file or some other obscured way to tuck it away. So username and password, our URL is now in there. You can see on the right-hand side over here, and our version for our API. Don't worry about that. Next little bit. So we're going to get started here, and we're gonna make a post call. So again. Here's the API reference that the R code was built off of, mainly using the curl. This talks about how you handle the data, how you initially create, invoke, talk to the environments. Once you have an environment, then you can go into a configuration, and then once you have a configuration, you go into a collection. And again, this approach is used if you are loading up your own corpus of data and uploading your own documents. We're not going to actually need to go as deep into that as the code will permit. We mainly want to start to run some queries from the default system corpus, which is the enriched news, which was really what we're after. But there's a few other hooks in here that would allow you to plug into the collections and whatnot. So when you hear configurations, collections, and documents, that's sort of why that is for folks that are wanting to upload their own corpus of data. So again, and here's the code on the GitHub repo. So we've got our username and our password. So let's do our first post call here. And if we are successful, we should get a 200 response. And then I'm going to call this new name, video demo 7, demo 7 for our name and description. And we are going to post here, and we should get some sort of environment identifier back. And here we are here. Our response is a 201, which is great. And we've got an environment ID now that it's handed back to us. So now we've got an environment handle that we can grab onto. So section 2 here is just a verification and a check of our environment ID. So again, we're going to ping this endpoint here, and let's have a look at what we get back from it. And again, there's our environment ID that we have. And you see there's actually a couple environment IDs here. The first one is default system, which is what we're going to be talking to for the news piece. And then the second one is our custom one if we wanted to load anything up on our own. So if we look at the content of the response, what's in here, you can see array number 2 is our custom piece, which we can use. And number 1 here, the environment ID name is system, which is the generic sort of global read only, which is what the news is going to be on. So again, you can see up here, where I ran into a little trouble when I was first playing around here. Use handle 2, vector 2 if you wanted to upload your own, and use 1 if you want to go in and play with news. So I'm going to load the word system in here into my environment ID disco. And if I want to go and play with the other one, then I can do this for 2. So now we've got it, the word system, which has come back. And now let's see what we've got available. So we've got a 200 response. And this should be empty if we have the word system. And you can see there's no configurations that are on here. But let's go back up here and let's try this one. Let's run this again. And that's our environment ID, the non-system one, the number 2. So let's load this one in to environment ID disco. This is our own custom one. Let's see what we get back here. And you can see we get a configuration ID. So we've gone a level deeper here. We've got our API endpoint credentials. And then we have our environment ID. And now we've drilled down and we've got our configuration ID. And we can see we've got the response in here. And that's our configuration ID is now in here. So now if we want to go even deeper, it gave me an error here. I've manually wired this configuration in here. Let me go and grab my new fresh configuration ID. I haven't updated this little script yet, so let me paste that in there. Now if I want to go in and configure this configuration, let's have a look here. And I'm now handshaking to my collection ID. So I've got an environment, a configuration, and a collection ID. Here's the environment, there's the configuration, there's the collection, and there's my version number. So if I did want to go in and use discovery to its full power, let's go in here on the environments and the configurations and collection side, whatnot. It's all here and you're ready to go. But on this video, we're not going to be loading our own data or querying our own data. We just simply want to go in and handshake and plug into this enriched news. So let's jump back into the code and let's go back up top here and let's grab that system one that we want. So here's our response and our environment ID position 1 is the word system. So we're going to go and put that one in our disco ID, the word system. Now, we're going to set our count to be 6 to try to get 6 responses. Manual query. Let's set our topic to be IBM. And now we're going to have a query that is basically contains our version, our count 6 from above. And we're going to filter this by the word IBM. We could do any name of company or idea that we want. And then we're going to return the text. So here's the actual query for that we are asking of the system, the default system environment that's already pre-enriched. So let's see what happens here. We got a 200 response. So let's see what we got in our response payload. And let's have a look at what that is. And you can see we've got some data here that has the words IBM, which is terrific. So let's do a little for loop and go through and print all that out. So you can see we've got 6 units of information that are pulled from news. And I haven't, this is just the basic text, but there's a whole bunch more that you can get in terms of entities and sentiment and whatnot. So let's try one more here. Let's go in and let's do Twilio. And let's set our count to be 20. Okay. And then let's load up the query. That's what the query is going to look like here. Let's run it again. And again, this is hitting the system, the read-only API on discovery. And let's see what our response text looks like. And then let's loop through and see what all the interesting stuff that's happening with Twilio recently. So there you go. So that's it. That's the basic way to handshake in with the discovery service. And thanks for watching today.